So many times my officers called me up, to take it easy. I've worked non-stop for 36 hours for just local coverage, back to back. Every few hours I'm sending pictures. Whole night I covered something. Then morning there was a strike, or taxi strike. I covered that. Very regular stuff. I'm not talking about some fancy global coverage. Kabir Bhatia, this long back. And my boss called me up and said, "Stop." A Polish guy, and he said, "Stop it, Arko. You're working too hard." I'm enjoying it. I was just in a trance. I was just loving it. The Vietnam War was going on for 20 years. Went on for 20 years, from 1955 to 75. I think 1972 or 73, Nikud, an AP photographer, shot photograph of children who were running in pain, being bombed by napalm bomb. And once that picture came out everywhere, Americans lost faith in that war, that our bombs are doing that. In a matter of a couple of years, the war got over. I think that he should get Nobel Peace Prize. No one could stop that war. But his photograph, that's the power of photography, and that's what has attracted me to.
That photographer, if I'm not mistaken, got a lot of flack from a lot of international people saying that, instead of photographing this movement, you could have actually gone, helped him in that scenario and actually done something. So, Arko, first of all, thank you so much for doing this, because I know that your health is, you're not in the best of the shape that you would obviously want to be. And I know that you made this an exception purely because of the sort of friendship and the proximity that we have. So, again, please, thank you so much for this. How are you feeling?
Thank you, Bhavya. The pleasure's mine. Um, well, as a photojournalist and a professional, even if you're not feeling well, if you start talking about your favorite subject, you forget everything. So I'm looking forward to this session will be one of them.
Absolutely. I mean, there's so much that I want to talk about because I know that there is so much and wealth of experience which actually comes when you take your name. Like when you say Arko Datta, everybody knows what is the level of credibility, what is the level of experience that you have, even with, like, for example, your film school as well and things like that. So there's so much. But I want to kind of have a conversation more about, photojournalism, and inside that, a lot about conflicts, human calamity, war photography. Um, the reason is because I feel, as an outsider, I think I naturally call myself an outsider. I'm from the industry, but I think I'm nowhere close to anything when it comes to photojournalism. And for people like me and somebody who's not even related to the industry, when they look from outside, they're just consuming content either on a television or on paper or online or on their phones. But photojournalists, especially when they're covering topics like these, it changes you. You get to see so many things which really, really can have a very deep impact on your mind. And I think in today's day and age, I think it's important for people to know and learn about the realities about what really happens. So that's the focus of the conversation, that I want to do that. So there is a possibility sometimes that when the conversation goes, there might be some probing questions that might come to my head, but then again, when I ask those things, then please, I ask it with the utmost respect to your profession and the utmost respect to you as well. uh, so it doesn't come from any, I just want to let that
Feel
out.
free. Feel
Yeah,
free.
yeah. And first up, like, just very simply, as a photojournalist, how difficult it is in general to just be a photojournalist.
It's both easy and difficult.
Hmm.
If it's in your blood, it's easy. If it's not, it's very difficult.
Hmm.
See, it's like mountaineering. You're never okay with it.
Right.
If you're hanging from a 3,000 feet cliff, right, just hang there. Like if you ask any professional, and most people, I'm not saying everyone, but you ask an
Hmm.
accountant, you ask a HR person, you ask a salesperson, you love your job, might say yes, might say, or you hate it. Yeah, so I'm okay with it. Most people are okay with their job. Okay, I'm not saying that some people just love their job or
Right.
hate it, but if mountaineer, mountaineering, if you're
Hmm.
doing it and you're made to hang from a 3,000 feet cliff, you can never say I'm okay with it.
Hmm.
Either you will love it or you will hate it.
Hmm.
Same thing for photojournalism. So if you have in it, in it, if you uh, it's not a career, it's a way of life. So if you love it, if you're passionate about it, it's absolutely easy. um, so many times my office has called me up, to take it easy. I'd worked non-stop for 36 hours, 40, just local coverage, back to back. Every few hours, I'm sending pictures. Whole night, I covered something. Then morning, there was a strike, or taxi strike. I covered that. Very regular stuff. I'm not talking about some fancy global coverage. Then I covered something else, and then I covered a Sabir Bhatia. That's long back. So third Sabir
Yes.
Bhatia interview. Then there was a joint exercise, Navy Army exercise in the beach, Chowpatty Beach. So after every time they said thank you very much or thank you, and I said no, another 3 hours. And the final boss called me up and said, "Stop!" A Polish guy, and he said, "Stop it, Arko. You're working too hard."
Mhm.
And I'm enjoying it. I was just in a try. I was just loving it. So you know, if it's in you, photojournalism, if you love it, if you're passionate about it, then it's absolutely easy. If
Mm.
it's not there, it's the most difficult. You burn out in 1 month. So
But now you are a photojournalist who has won the World Press Photo. Of course, you have a Pulitzer nomination as well. I think in India there are only, I think, if I when I think of it, there are only 3 or 4 photojournalists who have that level of how do I say, credibility, or even that level of where they've reached that level of stature. Does a photojournalist, or when you started, aspire for those things, or they just come along
not
the
at
way?
all. Never dreamt of it.
Hmm.
See, I don't even know what see. I actually got my first camera. I was 8 years old,
Hmm.
and within 2 years, if you asked me when I was 10 years old, what do you want to be, I would not say a photographer. I knew that word, photojournalist. I was very proud of it. It was magical for me at that age, and I would say I want to be a photojournalist. By the time I was 12 years old, I was a photographer for school, Xavier Times. So, uh, and then I was covering inter-house cricket match.
Hmm.
I had my first camera was Click 3, then Isolate 2 box cameras. The first one was a SLR, second hand Russian Zenith, which had a curtain, a cloth curtain,
Hmm.
not titanium foil or something. And it was also patched up. It was, I think there was a tear and the patched up. I got it for 800 rupees. And I was covering the cricket match, and I had one normal lens. And the batsman was far away, it was so small. So I had, um, you know, asked the leg umpire
Hmm.
permission. Can I just stand next to you
Okay.
for 1 over 1? Can I stand next to you because I have to take the picture of the highest batsman and the scorer, highest scorer. He said, okay, 1 over. So I took those pictures, and it came out story and text, 7th standard, and it was published in the Xavier Times. And it was my dream to be a photojournalist, and I can take pride. And when I look back, a few years later, I was covering the World Cup for Reuters, and with the fanciest of equipment and pictures being published all over the world. It was like a dream come true. But I would not write to you the word dream because it was not my dream to work for anyone. I didn't know what to do. I was just enjoying photography. I had no idea that I can work as a photojournalist in this place or that place. Maybe a few years later, I started thinking of an Indian magazine. Uh, I just was enjoying photography. I had
Right.
no ambition, no dream. I want like when you play tennis, you want to win Wimbledon, you want to play cricket, you want to win the World Cup. I had nothing like that. But I love photography. That's what I knew, and I
Hmm.
loved photojournalism and that style.
Understand.
Even when I got my first job,
Hmm.
all that my goal was to that when I go to an assignment, I should take the best picture,
Right.
step by step. I never thought of
Hmm.
uh, what I'm going to do finally.
The reason I ask you this is because uh, I wanna jump to like the 2002 Gujarat riots. Um, I think the most iconic photo, because I was very young at that point of time, and I remember that very clearly. Even when I think about that unfortunate incident or what happened during that time, immediately the photo that comes to my mind is basically what came to know later on as the face of Gujarat, which was obviously shot by
This is Gujarat Riots.
Yes, face of Gujarat Riots, right? And I think that's a spitting image whenever anybody talks about uh, 2002. That's the image. I mean, that's the power of that one picture. You know, uh, you want to tell us about that?
Well, uh, yes, uh, pictures are one of the most powerful things because people believe pictures. I mean, I don't mean anyone else. Writing has its own positives, but when it comes to believing,
Hmm.
nothing beats a photograph
Right.
because you can't make up things. You can't say there are 10,000 people there in the rally or 500 people or 1 million. You can only shoot what is there.
Hmm.
So therefore, it's very powerful, and that's why I actually love photojournalism because I felt that was the most powerful use of the camera. Right? And you know, the Vietnam War was going on for 20 years.
Hmm.
Went on for 20 years from 1955 to 75. I think 1972 or 73, Nick Wood, an AP photographer,
Hmm.
he shot a photograph of children who were running in pain, being bombed by napalm bomb. And once that picture came out everywhere, Americans lost faith in that war, that our bombs are doing that. In a matter of a couple of years, the war got over. I think that he should get Nobel Peace Prize. No one could stop that war, but his photograph. So that's the power of photography, and that's what has attracted me to photojournalism.
Hmm.
It's not just art, right? It's art which is relevant.
Hmm.
Art meets relevance. It's photography and it's journalism and put together. So I loved it, and I was always aware of that responsibility. It's that's why I tell everyone. It's not when the camera is hanging from your shoulder. It's a very powerful tool, and your responsibility is not just towards yourself, your organization, but to the society in general. And the most important thing with a camera as a photojournalist is to tell the truth, your accountability, your responsibility. That's the most important thing, not your creativity. Creativity is important, but credibility is bigger. So it's a very powerful tool, very powerful.
But what was going through your head when you actually shot that picture? Like, if today, like, if you see this picture, what comes to your mind?
Well, when you see it from further away,
Right.
with no, be it in space or time, with space as in you're sitting in some other place and get up in the morning and see the paper in the
Hmm.
comfort and safety of your home, or see it much later. It's a different way you will react to it.
Hmm.
What I was going through, still in reality, was numb. You know what I was thinking about? I was thinking about my safety. Where standing, there were all writers around me with knives and sword and everything. I was thinking, I hope no one stabbed me from behind. That's what I was thinking.
But how does that work in that time? Is it like more instinct, or like do you, I mean, because as you said, there are so many things which are going around your head, and naturally, like it's human nature to first think about whether you are safe or not. Mm.
Um, See, it's always a risk reward
Mm.
assessment. Is the risk, uh, worth it? I've taken risks for a lot of meaningless things.
Mm.
Really great risk. Climbing a crane from 10 stories high just to take a picture of a ship, which will the entire thing, and I could have just slip and fall. It was all oily and greasy. That was because I was young and I was excited about everything. But what becomes very important is absolutely important in this line is not bravado or machismo, not at all. If someone wants to be that, should do something else. You have to be very aware of risk. Risk assessment at every moment is very important. And what I feel proud about is not where I showed my bravery, where I've shown my discretion, where I've been careful, and then I realized the decision was right. And
Mm.
so many times the dilemma you can't think. No one can decide that what is right or wrong at that moment. Should I go and take the risk? Is it, if I don't take it and then I see, oh, it was amazing picture possibility I missed, I will regret all my life. What if I land up there, get hospitalized, camera smashed? Then so there's no answer for this. I cannot tell you. At that moment, you have to decide. Um, yes, you have to trust. Maybe a combination of instinct and experience.
Mm.
Both help. I also think you have to be aware. See, things we only see what's happening in front. Normally, not. This happened behind me, much further away, and there were all other photographers there. So I was not alone that I just got it.
Mm.
But and there was some lathi charge going on. I just keep looking around every 1 minute or so. Am I missing out? Because when you look through the viewfinder, your view is very narrow, your vision. You may tend to miss left and right. Behind, definitely you'll miss. So I keep turning around. I saw this happening there. And I ran. I ran. And I knew that this moment will not last long.
Mm.
So as I was running, I just took my camera shot and I run. I just stood for a second and I took the picture and I crossed the road. By the time the moment is gone. So instinct, awareness, alert. You have to be alert around if about your surrounding, not even for photography, but for your own safety. Um, but the
What
very difficult to put in the formula.
what is, I mean, what are things that goes on in the mind of a photographer when they are covering such events? Because as you mentioned, for example, what are the actual risks of putting yourself out there in such scenarios? What do you fear for?
Um, fear is not a bad word. A lot of people, especially youngsters, may not like to use that word. Or it's not a movie.
Hmm.
Fear will protect you. It is very easy to get injured and get killed in this line. And it's not that who otherwise won't. A lot of experienced people who have a lot of risk assessment. I have personal friends have lost, and that the bravado of youth disappears very fast. And what goes through your mind? What's your motivation? And what are you going through while you're covering something? I think it differs from time to time. As you grow older, it completely becomes different. Something I'm not at all comfortable with myself or anyone else doing it. But it is natural when you're very young, working for self glory.
Hmm.
It's not always coming there to make a difference to the world or to change things for the better with the camera. No, it's just for your own self. And whenever there's a disaster, you'll find hordes of photographers going there at their own cost, not even for some organization sending them. It's just because you know uh,
For glory.
for glory.
Okay.
And when I got the World Press photo and any other awards, I never feel comfortable. Only time I feel comfortable is when I get it for sports. I can really open a champagne bottle and enjoy myself. And I got that World Press. I was feeling guilty. 200,000 people died, and I'm getting this award, and people applauding. Just couldn't come to terms with it. I don't want to become well known or famous, but but I just justify, that work is great. This is the sideline actually. The greatest perk is that I am part of that missionary, that we all in the media people, you know, we create so much of awareness of those people not know what's happening, like in
Hmm.
Tsunami. I'm sure millions of dollars were sent from across the world because of our photographs and videos and coverage, and I'm part of that. And so I find it very meaningful. So it's like, if no patients, then doctor will not get his money. But will a doctor
Hmm.
feel bad about that? I mean, but the profession is the one of the most noble profession, medicine. Similar thing for photojournalism. Though one should not, I know what's my motivation. Therefore, I'm able to sleep at night. It was never been glory. And nothing wrong with it. When you're a 20-year-old, being ambitious is natural. But I never had it. That
Hmm.
WordPress photo, I never sent it. My office sent it. I've never, uh, maybe the Mumbai Press Club, maybe. something, but I just have not entered most of the competition. I have not entered. My office has entered, or someone else has entered. I never even getting a Pulitzer Prize nomination. I have never dreamed in my, of course now it's very real because one of our students also got Pulitzer, and I feel very proud about that.
Right.
Um, but when I was starting my Indian Express, I never had those ambitions at all in my head. I get a Pulitzer or a World Press photo, nothing. It happened, just happened. It was out of the blue. I never worked for awards. Now it sounds good, in an interview to say that, but that's the truth. I'm also a human being. I feel good to get an award and everything, but if that is my motivation, I will not feel comfortable, and that has not been my motivation. That comes afterwards.
But tell me one thing. I mean, as I was asking about the risk, and you also mentioned about the risk reward ratio. Now you've covered like umpteen number of topics, right? As a photojournalist,
Right.
war photography per se, I think it brings out like the worst in humans by nature, because you are going in a conflict area, in a situation where two sides are trying to obviously one up the other to come out on top. How does that change you as a photographer and even as a person? Because you mentioned that in the beginning you are obviously very ambitious at 2025, you want to do something and things like that, and then slowly those milestones change year after year.
See, it's not just war, riots and floods and earthquakes, and most of the time what you're covering is not good news. It's a sports, maybe. It's a very unnatural profession, very unnatural. Like, for example, when I went to the Bhuj earthquake, people are, you see, they're in hordes. They're trying to get away from that area. Everyone's going in that direction, from Bhuj and that area to Ahmedabad, to that side. We are going into it. I was in Delhi that time, and I was supposed to go to Kumbh Mela. I think it was 26th January or 25th, 26th January. Uh, and around 9 o'clock, 8:30, 9 o'clock, I'm forgetting the exact time, I could feel my house swaying in Delhi. I have felt a few earthquakes in Delhi, and there's two kinds of earthquake. One is a rumble, and one is this swaying kind of thing. Everything is, I can hear the wood, the sound of creaking, the wood is creaking, and the fan is swaying, and I knew there's something big. And we ran out, and news started coming. 2 dead, 5 dead, and it always starts like that. I knew this was big. In Delhi, it's so we felt it so conspicuously. Then, and what happened
The
there?
epicenter must be big.
By evening, the flight was like a press club, and all the full of press, people from Delhi going to Ahmedabad. And that night we covered in Ahmedabad. Next morning, early morning, we left for Bhuj, and we stayed there 10 days, no bath. I mean, and hardly eating anything because there's no loo also. So I don't know. And after 10 days, and we were sleeping out. It was like 5 degrees in the morning. It's winter, peak of winter, and uh, we were the only ones who forgot to take a tent. So right in the open, morning 5 o'clock, I'll get up shivering. The good thing was I'll start my work early. And then after 10 days, I got a call from my office that, okay, you can go to Ahmedabad. So, okay, good. So we had water, mineral water. I just put it in my head. I can imagine after 10 days how it will be, the water that flowed out. But to get rid of all that, Mark, you need to have a good bath for half an hour. But I didn't have that. I was booked into a Fortune Hotel, I think, a 5-star hotel there. I don't know, they'll allow me to enter that place. The way I'm looking, I've been in the car there, and when I'm walking in there, like, everyone's looking at me, who's this guy? And I said, I room number, what's okay? I went. And when I saw the bathroom, I got emotional. Bed, wow. But that was not a one assignment. Next assignment, again similar. Again similar. All your life, it's similar kind of assignment, from one tragedy to another tragedy. And when I go to an assignment, you go through an emotional upheaval. Just say if I can measure it like from 0 to 100, you come back, You're not back to again zero. You're back to two. Next time you go somewhere, again it goes to 100. You come back, it's not again two, it's four. Over time, it completely changes you. You're a different human being. And that entire thing those things that drove you was driving you like ambition and glorious disappears. It just disappears. And you get much more philosophical about life, and you start counting your blessings, and that life is a gift and it's so vulnerable. Everyone's vulnerable. You can just die like that. And I would come home and press the bell in the night and come back home. I would say thank you for one more day. That's the kind of change. And the motivation is different completely. And you realize that you can't have that motivation that you had at 25. If you have it, you'll feel really guilty. You don't want to sleep. You won't be comfortable with yourself. I didn't have it, thankfully. I never had it, actually. I always want to take good photographs or photographs that people will see. That was there. But for whatever reason, that awards and all that's not in my thought process. Maybe if I was with the other photographers, those things don't, I didn't know about it properly. What's a world press or Pulitzer that Indians can get it? I didn't know about it. So that was never driving me. Glory was not driving. Maybe a good photograph, the best coverage that I can do. But you have to be very respectful to what you're shooting and photographing. There are moments in history, most of them tragic, many of them very dark. The people who are victims. When I went to Tsunami, covered it, I would go from every day from Kadlo to Nagapatnam. I'll cover on the way, and I had a colleague staying in a hotel there. I would go to his room and file my pictures, then come back. And then finally, the day I was going to leave, I was sitting in this car, air conditioned, nice sun coming from outside. It was very soothing on the skin, with AC and cool inside with the sun falling on the skin. It almost puts you to sleep, kind of. And I'm looking at the destruction on the sides, and I'm going back. I was feeling like I'm deserting them. I can go back to my house, having taken the picture, worldwide coverage. You know, how do you cope with this? I was covering Tsunami, photographing. I got a call from my wife. And at the end of the call, as usual, I said, how's everything at home? The moment I asked, I suddenly realized where I'm standing on the debris of someone's broken home, ruined house, destroyed home. I said, what am I? I'm telling you, this profession is not a job, it's not a career. It changes you completely. It's a way of life. Be prepared for the journey. It's not meant for everyone. In 1 or 2 months' time, if not physical burnout, physically is very exhausting, mentally it'll burn you out unless you're not there for the right reason.
But does it change you for the good or for the bad? Does it have both effects sometimes?
I can only speak for myself. I don't know what effect it has on others, but I see a lot of people getting into it for the wrong reason, which is okay if you're very young. But when I see that does not change, and it's just going there for self glory, even after 20 years in the profession, I feel very uncomfortable with that. Chasing, and I see a lot of people. I'm nothing wrong with being an artist, and of course, we are all. I take pride that photojournalism and photography is fine arts. Fine arts, instant fine arts. What people take hours to do, you have to do it in a minute in a dangerous place. And but the goal of this is not to prove that what a great artist you are, but a lot of guys will try, you know, to show that they are more important than the photograph, that their art is more important than the photograph. And I'm not very comfortable when you use such tragic moments to promote yourself as an artist. I'm not comfortable with that. Just go and um, be very respectful to that moment. And you're not important. You're just a messenger. Your glory, your name, your art is not important. What you're photographing is important. For a painter, the for painting, painter is important. Everything about the painter. But in photojournalism, you're just a messenger. You're not important. And only then, when you think like that, can you photograph something that is important to mankind, that is historical. Not if you're trying to, um, go promote yourself there.
But, But how do you disassociate yourself from that sort of a scenario? Isn't it difficult because you are risking your life? You are, of course, shooting something which potentially can, as you said, can end the war or
As
start it
well.
as well.
Yeah, yeah.
So, how do you weigh that in? How do you disassociate yourself?
See, uh, the you know even which I believe in, and I would also tell my students that the biggest skill, what's the skill that you need to be a photojournalist?
Hmm.
You need a degree, diploma. Now, to be a doctor, you need to be an MBBS, which takes 7 years. You need to be a lawyer, LLB to be a lawyer. What's the entry barrier to be a photojournalist? What's the skill you need? Nothing at all. Anyone can be. Like anyone can be a copywriter, anyone can be an artist, anyone can be a photojournalist. But what is that skill that you require? To be highly creative? Yes, of course. To have technical knowledge about photography? Definitely. But one of the very important skills of a photojournalist is completely disassociate your photography with yourself, who you are, your beliefs, your identity, your caste, your religion, your nationality, your political views, your likes and dislikes and preference, everything you have to do. You have to become, the word is not passionate, the word is dispassionate, mute observer. Like robotically, you shoot things, that's it. No editing it in your mind that this is important. Just whatever happens, you shoot it. And but I want to get rid of my surname because even that gives away my nationality and whatever else identity. I liked my first name because except for Bongs, the Bengalis, rest had me called from which part of the world I am. So I can be whatever you want me to be, right? So I went with a colleague of mine and Adil, I think you know him.
Yes.
We went to, so he was a young guy, and I said I want you to come with him to come with me, and my office agreed with that to it because it doubles your budget. But it was good, and we were sleeping on the ground in an earthquake. There was in 2008, I think, 2005. I know, in a year, 2005, October, September, October, and uh, this people would like people are very conscious about what religion you are and everything. Almost all every, and they would ask me like a name. So he's Adil, I'm Arko. No clue about my religion. I never. The one girl came, and I think that was a time when Ramzan was going on. So this little kid came and said that, um, you know, आप खाना खा रहे हो दिन में? So I will not tell which religion I am on this. Why did he girl innocently ask me? I said, I know how far it's true. Okay, so please, but I guess it is there in Quran that if you're in war, jang mein ho, या काम में हो तो आप खा सकते हो. That's what I told her. Not trying to say that what religion, who's from what religion. So I'm a Muslim if you want. I'm a Hindu. I'm a Christian. I'm a Sikh. I'm Indian. I'm American. I'm Japanese. Doesn't matter what you think I am.
Hmm.
I'm water. I am neutral. Why are you taking a photograph? And of course, we are human beings. We have our likes and dislikes and preferences, but that you keep in your house. Don't bring it with yourself. When you lift the camera, that all goes out. That's the biggest skill.
It does in these sort of scenarios and situations, like whether it's war or whether it's like these riots, and does religion or where you are from or where you belong from make a difference?
Absolutely. And it'd be quite naive if you think that it doesn't make a difference to you and you're not aware of it and you do not take precautions, right? Um, Simple in a riot, you should be careful not to wear colors that can get into trouble.
Hmm.
I know it's against my belief, but it doesn't matter what I believe, what other people see you as. If people think you are a Japanese, then you are Japanese, not you may think you are an Indian or whoever. So what people see you as.
Hmm.
I have been to uh, uh, riots where a group of people always come and say, "Aap kaun se dharm se ho?" Because if from the other side, where and if there's a riots, religious riots, they will not let you photograph there. And I can tell you, it's getting worse and worse, by over time. But and it doesn't matter what you say; it's what they see you as. Okay, आपका नाम बताओ फिर. And now they're going to try to deduce, or they're going to try to find your religion by your name. ठीक है, try it, Arko. That didn't work out for them. They still can't make out what religion he is.
Mm.
And what protects you also, not just from at that moment, but over time, the litigation, people, is your neutrality, right?
Mm.
You have to be very careful what um, you know, represent. So I tell all photojournalists, two kinds of people cannot put their views out, opinion. You can't. One is photojournalists, and the other is journalists, not photojournalists, journalists, and the other is judges.
Mm.
You can't. Around 2005 or so, when Facebook had just started, I know some one of those years, uh, my boss had sent me a request, so I had to accept it. But I had no idea what Facebook is, and I got a thing. I'm getting a gold coin. I was very happy. Okay, where's that? It's just virtual. I lost interest in that, but
Mm.
I got a request to join a cause in against for the Buddhist monks in Myanmar. Right? Um, I said I didn't join. One of my colleagues only sent me that.
Mm.
Said, don't you feel for them? So I may, but that's my personal thing.
Mm.
What if I have to go and cover that time? And I was supposed to go and cover after that. And if I take a picture that hurts the Myanmar's army, which is ruling, and then they'll go into my Facebook thing
Mm.
and say, "Oh, he's coming with an agenda. He's already against us." So I have every human being has opinions. I can't put it out because then I can never cover that. So you have to keep your views to yourself. You have to be absolutely neutral, and that has what has protected me over time. Nowadays, people get arrested even for liking a tweet. So just imagine the kind of pictures I've taken. I would have got arrested every second day. But then they must have got advice from someone, and people did, and some political party did that. No, he's absolutely credible, has nothing to do with politics. So taking him to court will make things even worse. Right?
Mm.
So you know, one youngster uh, he came to our institute to learn to train in photojournalism, and I asked them the motivation and what's. See, he's social work working with the Naxalites, right? No, he's not an Naxalite or anything like that, but just working to understand. As an outsider, he was there.
Mm.
So okay, um, um, he wants to uh, learn photojournalism, perhaps to help him with photography. I said, learn photography. Why? Then I said, okay, I'll ask you a question. What if the BSF, CRPF going after them in Chhattisgarh or somewhere? I think so. What if you get a picture of Chhattisgarh of CRPF personnel brutally hitting or killing a Naxalite? Can you take that picture and move it globally? So yeah, yes. Right? Can you take a picture of Naxalites, one of them, killing a CRPF guy brutally? Can you take that picture and send it all across the world? His answer was not instant. He was started thinking. I got my answer. You see, you was with them, and you really can't go against them because you are enjoying their hospitality. You're too close to them. You will get arrested,
Mm.
right? Um, you are an activist. Let me tell you, a lot of places, I won't name the places, but where there is separatist movements, not just India, across the world. I'm not too comfortable with the locals, photographers, using the camera as a tool of political statement. So if I ask that if BSF guys are hitting some protesters, can you shoot that picture and move it globally? Yes. What if the protesters hitting some BSF guy very brutally? You'll never do that. That's why
Mm.
the camera, oh, no problem. Even activists use cameras, but then you're not a photojournalist. You may be award winning, you may be famous as a photojournalist, but for me personally, no. You're an activist. You can't make a personal cause. You can't use camera for your personal causes. Then say proudly that I'm one of the part of the movement or whatever. It's okay. As a photojournalist, I said you have to dissociate yourself with everything. I'm not saying like in Diwar shot his own brother.
Mm.
I don't know brother, but if my brother was participating and he was doing something illegal, can I shoot that and move it globally and he'll get arrested next day? Maybe not, but then I will accuse myself. I can't cover that.
Mm.
But people are non-stop using it as a tool of political statements. I'm not
But
comfortable with that.
but you mentioned about being in a scenario where people are on the other side, like if, for example, whether it's a riots and stuff like that, or whether it's they will ask you probably like what your name is and stuff like that. Both in a conflict zone or in a situation like this, do people or are they not aware that you are someone who's a neutral body who's just basically covering that conflict or that sort of a scenario which needs to be sent to the for the bigger masses of people to see?
I'm sure they did. That's why I'm sitting in front of you,
Mm.
alive, and not been sent to hospital that time. I guess they believed me.
Mm.
That's why. But things have changed now. And things have changed because look at the media. Are they neutral? And people won't believe. Now if you go and say I'm neutral, they'll laugh at you. Which media, who's neutral in India? Who's neutral? They're always taking sides, either this side or that side. So those days were different. When the media was, I don't know those days. Maybe, see, I worked in Reuters and I have a lot of pride and respect to Reuters for that. People who have not been there might say they have an agenda, international have agenda, but I know from inside there was no agenda ever. Never told to shoot this or don't shoot that. Do it like this. And one thing they valued: credibility, truth. I'll tell you so much so that these concepts are not arrived this country. And um, just a regular protest rally. Were they reacting more because of your camera? I said
Mm.
yes. The cameras on there, they would have been not so loud or not so uh, you know uh, with all this sloganing and all this thing. They would not be doing all that um, if maybe there were no cameras there. There was no sedate. Um, and said, okay, let's not use the picture then. So yeah, please, let's not use it to that level. I would now not talk to my subjects, not even talk to them. And most people don't realize that that even saying "don't look here, look there" is wrong. Don't move a stone. Just report the way it is. Your job is not to take a great picture. That when because you've gone there and put in the effort, you have to come back with a great picture. No, what you have to come back is what happened there. Nothing happened. Nothing happened. I tell you, Indian newspapers just have no concept about it. I don't think there is any photojournalism in India, real photojournalism. The way things are being set up, orchestrated, it's just downright sickening. My students will go and after all the hours and days of lecture I give them about credibility, I say, we're a bad photographer, no problem. You can become a better photographer. But if you ever cheat, don't show me your face. I'll be ashamed to share the same space with you. And that's the thing, it gets imbibed in them, embedded in them for 1 year or so. And then after they get a job or something, they'll come and tell me, so what to do? The folder is asking me to set up. So, well, you handle it diplomatically. If you give him a lecture on morality, we lose a job. Just say, okay, whatever, but don't do it.
But is that the world today? I mean,
Not world. Yeah. I don't know what other countries do that, but whatever experience I have had working in Reuters, which is a global thing, which is a lot of Indians work there, a lot of people from all across the world, so it doesn't belong to any one country. And um, of course, that I felt when I was even started with Indian Express. I know when I would go for a sports event, say a table tennis match, and before the match, we'll stand in front, the other side, with the flash and everything, and they'll tell the other guy to hit some shots, and they'll take the photograph. Then they'll go other side, and this guy's photograph they'll take, and they'll all disappear. Now, I'll hang around there. When I was a youngster, my first job, and the organizer would come to me and say, "You can't shoot this." So what do you mean I can't shoot this? Sports and sports photography go hand in hand. The flash will affect the players. I showed the camera. Do you see a flash here? Then how will you shoot? That's my problem. And then I have to, that was not digital, so I have to boost the processing, very little light, shooting in natural light, freezing that moment. And I was asked, why do you hang around? When do you just take the picture like golf, just taking a picture before swimming all the time, they're doing nothing but moment the thing is over, same picture. So we sign after it. And I saw those international pictures. I said, no, I have to replicate that, and doing that, I don't know what that's breaststroke or what's it called, butterflies, something. They come out like this. And I've seen this international pictures in sports stuff. I got to shoot that. I had a Pentax K1000 and a Sigma, cheap Sigma lens. And of course, it was not autofocus. So I was trying my best at high fast shutter speeds, and it came out fantastic well. The water was flying around. So I love sports photography, and I'm trying to do what internationally it is done. But that's why do you forget the quality? But why do you just waste your time? I said no, you have to shoot the real moment in a match. Otherwise, why go there? Why use a file picture? So I had this even before I joined Reuters. I realized that you have to shoot the moment. Right? But in Reuters, you really saw it go to a different level of, and I really respect them for that. Their dedication to their, to truth and reality, and you know, and when I see the Indian newspapers, I get aghast in Photoshop what they're doing. But do it if any other field, but not as a photojournalist.
But I think ethics is something which is like so interesting, but it is also something which sometimes can be misconstrued or misunderstood. The reason I ask this is because, like a scenario of the famous picture of Adam Kurdi, I think the Syrian boy. If you remember the Syrian refugee who washed up on the shore,
Yeah.
and
Yes.
yeah, so that was Alan Kurdi. So
He's not a professional.
he
He was,
was
I think, working for a.
rescue
Yeah,
something.
he was working for a social organization. But that is why I was very surprised didn't get a award in the World Press, because I think only professionals get it there.
Okay,
Unfortunately, it
I
should be open to
thought he
everyone.
was a
The boy, like a cradle, is the sleeping peacefully. It looks like that, and
yeah,
red shirt and all that.
yes,
Oh,
yes.
when I saw the picture first for 15 minutes, I looked at it not like a photojournalist, but like an audience. God, it was so moving.
Yes. So when, if I'm not mistaken, I think he was a professional.
Hmm.
But when he shot that picture and when that picture was made public, obviously, because that was, I feel, the pivotal moment which actually opened up German borders and all the European borders to let a lot of these refugees in. But that photographer, if I'm not mistaken, got a lot of flack from a lot of international people saying that, instead of photographing this moment, you could have actually gone, helped him or her in that scenario and actually done something. How?
This is one of the stupidest things I hear from people who have no idea what they're talking about.
Hmm.
I was in a TV program about this, about a policeman who was hacked to death. I'll come to that later. Just
Hmm.
remind me if I forget that. I'll come to it. And we the people managed to have it earlier.
Hmm.
But I think the child was already dead first. Um, a lot of countries, including Greece, I think are on the beaches of Greece,
Mm.
Greece, Italy, Hungary. They were not willing to
Accept
have
refugees,
any
yes.
refugees. Rightfully, I'm not going to judge right or wrong because
Mm.
their population is,
Mm.
they're going to have such a large number of people coming in. They'll have problems. So they have their compulsions, political compulsions. So not, but whatever reason, they were not very enthusiastic and agreeable about having, refugees. Um, when this picture happened, it moved the world. I
Mm.
can understand that. And thank you, reminded me of this picture because when you say about power of photography, this is one picture.
Mm.
Now, every day we read a boat sunk, so many died, children died. But, seeing it in print and words, seeing a photograph, and a photograph that, you know, a lot of things comes to relate. When you cut a tree, we don't feel that much of pain. Why? Because it doesn't have red blood. So
Mm.
it doesn't prove it feels pain. Now, people have got this emotional fatigue. When you see people dying of drought, of starvation, most people don't feel anything. Why? Because they don't feel afraid about that. It doesn't create fear in them. They don't relate to it. They don't think they or their children can die out of starvation or some alien thing. When they feel it's when they see an accident happening next door, someone died. Oh, it could be me. It could be me or my family is a very powerful thing that moves. That child looked like any other child anyone would have, with those clothes, the shoes tied, it looked not dead, but looked like lying on a cradle peacefully, dead. And that shook the people around because they started relating to that picture to their own children
Mm.
and everything. And that's one of the most powerful. Even there was a debate where I was working that time to carry that picture or not. I said, of course, we should carry that. This is one of the most powerful.
Yes, because I think that debate or that conversation must have happened because of this, because there was a lot of flack which the photographer, and there was a lot of divide whether a photograph like this should have actually made the front pages of the newspapers, or the photographer or whoever shot that should have actually done something about it instead of.
Yeah. You know, he could have done anything because child was dead. Um, Similar questions have been asked about Nikud's picture. Oh, this policy of we should not have carry any children without clothes. For Vietnam, that picture, can you imagine? That's so stupid and ridiculous, that is. But the most famous case of, known internationally, globally, of why didn't the photographer help is of Kevin Carter, the Pulitzer Prize winning picture of that child not able to stand up and crawling with a vulture behind. And people started asking him,
Right.
what do you do? What happened to the child? What do you do? Come on, he's just one guy. And the child was not dying, by the way, or something like that. And parents were close by. And there are hundreds of thousands of such children. What can he do? The vulture was not waiting there to eat the child. No. But symbolic. It was symbolic. Um, you know what he did? He went there and photographed there. And that photograph must have got so much of money and aid to that place. Those people are sitting in the comfort of the AC home and they're criticizing other people. That flack I don't care about. That's their job. They've just, that's absolutely useless. It's best to be ignored. Coming back to what I was telling about, this policeman was hacked to death. Not hacked to death, maybe died later, but was alive. His legs were chopped. He was going in his. And the picture came out everywhere and they had a program, a television program. Why did not the photographer help? And some of us were there in this, and even Raghuram was there in that program. And what I said was, he's the only guy who did his work. There's a minister's convoy that went past. He didn't have a car of his own. Minister's convoy went past, and I believe so. I don't know if it's right, or I just heard it then, so I can't.
I don't know whether it's true or not.
I can't confirm it's true or not. That he refused to take him in his so many cars for help. What could the photographer have done? And what Raghuram said was that this guy was a stringer. Maybe getting little few rupees, 40, 50 rupees for that picture. What could he have done? And what he could do, he did it. There are policemen there, other policemen there. There was minister's convoy. Did they help? Why are you demonizing this guy? who actually did his work. So this is a very stupid, ridiculous thing of people have too much of time active on social media, and they'll keep asking this. Right? It's best is this is noise and should be ignored. If you're so interested, then why don't you go and yourself and do something there? But no, they just criticize the world. So it's not just right. For just make a lot of sacrifices. Right? It's not that we are seeing television and writing something. Literally living our lives there. When I cover earthquake, I have to be there. Cover war, I have to be there. Right? So I
Good.
don't give a value to this criticism at all.
So, Arko, I want to change the mood a little bit in terms of actual war and war photography. Now, I know that you've covered a number of wars which have been really pivotal for what do you call the Indian side per se, if you'd say. Like for example, a war like Kargil. I know you've covered that. How's that experience? Do you want to tell us something about that? Of what happens in that sort of a scenario as a photojournalist when you go there to cover it?
I see it started, and I uh, very difficult to summarize
Hmm.
such a whole range of emotions in such a short while. It's not one single thing. So every day is different. When you go in, you're different. When you come out, you're different. I remember the date, 25th May, 1999. I was in Calcutta. I had taken a picture of children jumping into some lake because it's getting hot. Some weather picture, nice offbeat human interest picture. Nice. We used to send pictures to Hong Kong. I was in AFP that time, and I sent it. Then I thought, let me confirm with them whether they got it or not properly.
Hmm.
So I called up Hong Kong, my office. There's a guy called Laurent, colleague of mine, French guy. Normally you'll spell it as Lauren, but
Hmm.
it's pronounced Laurent. I asked Laurent, did you get the picture? Oh, yeah, we got it. But uh, where are you? So in Calcutta. Why are you there? Come on, I live here. Oh, you're supposed to be in Delhi. What for? Call them up, you'll know. It's okay. Called up Delhi. And our chief he was not there. So another person picked up and was the office manager actually. And she told me, oh, I forgot to tell you that you're supposed to be here and you have to go to Kargil. And I think that's the day when 3 planes were shot down. Uh, Nachiketa, the big war hero, he was taken prisoner of war. And you have to come here immediately, take the first flight out. And I think it was 4 o'clock or so. And I called my wife, I'm going. And I'm very good at packing my bag, a photography bag.
Right.
Because, if you forget even one cable and you're in Kargil, that's it. You come back, Uh, so I know and what I have to pack. Some of them I have replacements also, number of chargers and cameras and batteries. I know all that. What I'm very bad at packing is clothes, especially for Kashmir. I completely forgot where I'm going. Forget about warm clothes. I mean, forgot to pack vest, banyan. I didn't carry. Anyway, I rushed to the airport. 6 o'clock flight I caught. 8 o'clock I reached there, and it told me no, not going today. Tomorrow. So come on, then I could take the last flight. From Calcutta to Delhi. So next morning, the flight was 11 o'clock. I thought of picking up something in Delhi, some warm clothes. Then I remembered, but went to the airport at 10 o'clock, so I didn't buy anything. And the flight was to Jammu. Srinagar airport was closed because of the war. And by 12 o'clock, the flight was at 12 o'clock, so not 11, 12 o'clock. And 1 o'clock we reached Jammu, landed there. And immediately I had a reporter with me, senior person, very senior, uh, Giles Hewitt, British guy, lovely person to work with. And we both 6'6". With that, everyone remembers in the army. So, Lamba.
Hmm.
Um, um, and 9 hours to Srinagar. You know, so reached at 10 o'clock, no chance of buying anything. All the way, the driver was telling us stories of how avalanches hit there, which car went down, which bus. So it was a frightening journey. Listen to his story. Next morning at 5 or 6 o'clock, we left Srinagar. In a few hours, we were in Sonmarg. Sonmarg is beautiful, pictures, a tourist spot. But beyond that, it's above the tree line and narrow. That time, Zojila Pass was very narrow. And even if it's summer in other places, but still winter there. Not winter, but still there's ice. They had to cut through ice.
Yes.
And I saw this convoy of 100 trucks coming. And we had to park ourselves in one place, and the trucks went past, and it was just awesome. I was younger also. So it was thrilling. It was out of a movie. I was feeling like I'm part of some Hollywood film. And I was thinking, they pay me for this. And it's not a 9 to 5 job. Imagine this. What an amazing experience I'm having. My first war as such, but I've not got a taste of war as yet, but just the place where I'm going to, and all these choppers are flying there, and there's army camps, and there's guns of Navarre or something like that. I'm part of that. And I was so thrilled. And I was just thanking God I get paid to do this. And I was there I went once and then came back again. I went, and I was the first one to go in. The only one who was there before me was the photographer from Srinagar. The guy who came after me was an AP photographer, but I was one of the first non-Kashmiri guy to reach them, and I was perhaps the last guy to leave from 1st August 1999. That was actually one of the most dramatic days when, after ceasefire, I could have died. I just went to say bye to everyone in Mashka Valley, and that was the deadliest day for me. Anyway, when I came back, I took a flight from Srinagar, went to Srinagar, and from Srinagar took a flight back to Delhi. In Delhi, office was next to Connaught Place. Came out of Connaught Place, and I was seeing these young boys and girls. All that time there was no barista, there was no cafe, there was Narulas and the other. And I hustle and bustle, and people enjoying them. So the movie halls, and I was feeling like a trance out there. When I was in Kargil, city life was like a dream. I don't want to think about it. Also, then you can't work there. When I came here, I couldn't adjust to it, and these guys are not even aware what's happening. How many other youngsters who were in school and college like them who died there? It took me a long time to adjust to that. But the way I went there was a completely different person. When I came back, I was a different person altogether. And when I was sleeping, I would get dreams of it. I was even just hiring the car, and our driver was Zakir, and what happened every day. Just regular stuff would come to my dreams almost every day. And anyone who would close the door, loudly, something, I would think of just diving to the floor, because that was it. If you see the sound, you dive flat. Then I realized, oh, it's just a door. It's not some incoming bomb or something. Stayed in my mind. It took a long time for it to go. But of course, then I started doing other assignments, floods and this. And so this went back to my memory somewhere. But it, of course, affects every assignment, not just one. Do you think earthquakes are any less? Floods are any less? Riots are any less?
But what is the mood like when in such a scenario and a situation, and you know you, as a photojournalist who's gone there to kind of take that picture, give an idea about what the reality of what the ground reality is to people who are sitting out there. How do you see, because it's a conflict between two nations. Of course, at the end of the day, when you yourself as an individual are also covering it, you have certain level of patriotism, which obviously, you being in Indian, but then you also have to disassociate yourself from that sort of a scenario, and then try and get that picture which millions of people will see.
See, I know it would be quite politically incorrect, but that's exactly what I was saying, was that you have to dissociate yourself with everything, including patriotism. If that's what's driving you, then you better go there to shoot with a gun, not with a camera. I'm not saying don't be patriotic. Maybe before and after, not with your camera. One thing you can't do